Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back in today with another fantasy football video. Today's video is Week 6 waiver wire targets. These are all guys that I'm looking for and trying to get on this week so that I can dominate this fantasy football season. Now, before I get into the video, I'd like to give you guys a word from my sponsor, OverlayDFS.com. They're great friends of mine. They are a great website. I love the website. I play on it a lot. And this week we got so close to winning that money. It seemed like I was potentially going to go 12-0. And then some of my guys, they shit the bed, but it's okay. Cue the roll. Now, tired of having to pick the perfect player at every single position in order to win at salary cap DFS? Are you tired of having your salary cap lineup out of the running to win money in the first 5 minutes? Does playing salary cap DFS feel like a job and not even a game? Want a fantasy game where pros with 150 lineups and computer generated games can't dominate? OverlayDFS.com has a new revolutionary start-sit game for fantasy sports. They are the home of the single-entry GPP. How do you play? It is a simple start-sit format. Make 12 start-sit decisions from the 30-plus matchup presented, like you can see on my screen right now. A winner, win, loss, or tie will be awarded to your overall record for each decision. Records of the top 10% of users win 9 times your buy-in. 12-0 records win GTD progressive bonus. All matchups are player versus player who will have the most fantasy points. Usually, an 8-4 record is good enough to get that cash. Sometimes 7-5, other times 9-3, depending on the week. Make 12 picks on the matchup options listed. For example, in Week 5, it could be Cooper Kupp versus Todd Gurley, Adam Thielen versus Stephon Diggs, Carson Wentz versus Tom Brady, and many more. The object is to stay consistent and finish in the top 10% of the field to win 9 times your buy-in until the stars align and you go that beautiful 12-0. Right now, if you go the perfect 12-0 in the $109 game, you'd win the progressive bonus of over 26 big once, $26,000. They have buy-ins at all levels. If no one hits that perfect 12-0, the progressive bonus keeps growing and will roll over until it gets hit. It's like the super contest, but for DFS. Do not get shut out. Visit www.overlaydfs.com today. And we are Week 6 waiver wire targets. Let's go. John Hilliman is the first running back target of the New York Football Giants, 0.01% ownership on NFL.com. Now, a lot of these waivers, a lot of these players, especially at the running back position, are garbage. There is not much to find at the running back position for this week. The other position, wide receiver and tight end, it's a lot more juicy for them. So John Hilliman is a 1-week potential play. Now, if Saquon comes back, he's relevant. But who knows if Saquon's going to be good to go this week. Now, they're playing Thursday night football against the Patriots. Will they hold out Saquon? Because it seems like Saquon's going to be good to go, but they may hold him out because they're playing up against a very tough run defense in the New England Patriots. So there is potential that they just sit Saquon out, and there's also potential that he's just not ready to go. Week 7 seems like a better potential comeback for him, but who knows? Maybe he'll even be back this week. But if he's not, I think John Hilliman is definitely a great pickup. Now, he's just a 1-week play. Next week, Saquon's probably going to be back, so there's no need for him after that. But if you're in a pickle, you're in quite the pickle, you just pick him up. He's a potential RB2 against the Patriots on Thursday night. Last week against Minnesota, he got 9 touches for 20 yards and 1 catch for 4 yards last week against Minnesota. But like I said, that's because Gallman got hurt. Gallman got concussed. So if Gallman was obviously not in that situation, we probably would have seen John Hilliman get a lot more touches, a lot more work, obviously like he will get this week against the Patriots. Next running back to talk about here is probably the best running back pickup because he's someone you can actually play pretty much every single week, and that's Chris Thompson, Washington running back, 48.5% ownership on NFL.com. Now, this is a guy that's probably owned in a lot of your leagues, but he's only owned in 48% of leagues on NFL.com, so it's entirely possible he's available in your league. He averages 11.7 PPR points per game this year in 2019. He's an amazing pass-catching back. That's where you're getting a lot of his work. It's not in the run game of the Redskins. It's in the passing game. He averages about 5 receptions per game. Now, they're playing Miami Week 6, playing the shit-tier Dolphins. It's the Tank Bowl. Both teams god-awful, all right? But what I do know is that they're going to be passing the ball a lot, whether it's Colt McCoy, Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum. Who gives 2 fucks? They're going to be good. Chris Thompson is definitely going to be good this week against the Dolphins, and probably in the future. He's a guy that you could play every single week. Gets around 10, 12 points every single game, and you're just happy with him because you picked him up, and he's a fine running back to play. Final running back to talk about here is Jalen Samuels. running back of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 38.8% ownership percentage on NFL.com. He's getting okay use in the Steelers offense. We thought last week it seemed like he was going to get a heavy use. Now, they are running him in the Wildcat formation, and that man threw a pick last week and screwed everyone over who played him, went negative, and then he somehow finished with like 1 or 2 points. It was terrible. He does not seem to be much of, it doesn't seem much to be of a committee anymore on this team. Last week, I thought it was going to be a committee. Now it seems like it's the James Conner show. He's more of a handcuff. So I'm just going to list off other handcuffs. Now, Jalen Samuels is the one I decided to talk about, but there's other ones. There is Rock Armstead, which is Leonard Fournette's handcuff. There is Alexander Madison, which is the handcuff to Dalvin Cook, and Chase Edmonds for David Johnson. Those are probably the more exclusive handcuffs to get. So if you're just keeping like an extra, you have 3 quarterbacks on your team, cut 2 of them, pick up one of these running backs. You have 2 tight ends, cut one of them. You have 3 tight ends, cut one of them. You have 2 kickers, 2 defenses, cut one of those guys. Pick up one of these guys like Jalen Samuel. If you have Connor, obviously you'd go Samuel. But if you go with Madison, Rock Armstead, any of those guys. Now we're on to the wideouts. Mohamed Sanu is the wide out. In my opinion, that is the best pickup. Wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons, 40.2% ownership percentage. Now, the Falcons haven't looked too hot, but Mohamed Sanu has been a target that every game Matty Ice is looking at. Solid week 3 through 5. Week 3 against Indianapolis, 6 for 6 for 75 yards, 13.7 PPR points. Week 4 against the Tennessee Titans, a pretty good defense, 9. He got 12 total targets, reeled in 9 balls for 91 yards, 18.1 PPR points. And last week against Houston, 5 for 5 for 42 yards and 1 touchdown for 15.3 PPR points. So you can clearly see that Matt Ryan likes targeting Mr. Mohamed Sanu. Next wide receiver to talk about here is Odin Tate, Cincinnati wide receiver, 2% ownership on NFL.com. Now, Ross is out. Ross likely out for a month. He should be great while Ross is out until A.J. Green comes out. Obviously, if A.J. Green comes back in the next couple of weeks, it doesn't seem like his return is this week or next week either. But what I do think is that Auden Tate gets a lot of usage on these teams, out on about 100% of the snaps this week against Arizona. He had 3 good games in a row now. Week 3 against Buffalo, 6 for 10 and 88 yards for 12.8 PPR points. And that's in a game where John Ross played. Week 4 against Pittsburgh, when John Ross got hurt, 4 of 6 and 50 yards for 9 PPR points. An okay game. And then week 5 against Arizona, 3 for 6 and 26 yards with a touchdown, 11.6 PPR points. Now, Auden Tate could have had an amazing game last week had Andy Dalton not have shit the bed and played terrible at the beginning of the game. If they're playing in a game where Andy Dalton plays good the whole game, I don't see any reason why he can't be scoring 10 to 15 points every single game. Now, onto the final wide receiver here, but I'm going to talk about another wide receiver here with him. He's just the final wide receiver that I have a slide about. Robbie Anderson, wide receiver of the New York Football Jets, 50.3% ownership on NFL.com. Now, he has not done much all this season, dealing with all the backup quarterback who sucks, but Sammy Darnold should be back this week, back good to go this week, and Robbie Anderson and him developed a great connection down the stretch at the end of last year. I think that he could be in for a big year, Robbie Anderson, down towards the end of the season. Now, also going to talk about Jamison Crowder. Now, he's owned in less percent of the leagues. I didn't include him because it's pretty much the same reasoning. He and Sam Darnold had a great connection at the beginning of this. Robbie Anderson didn't even have a great connection at the beginning of this year. Jamison Crowder did. He was seeing 8 million targets. Week 1, I believe 14 targets. It looked amazing week 1. I think that could be how it is all season. Obviously not 10 targets a game, maybe 7 targets a game. But even that for Jamison Crowder should be big in PPR leagues. Now we're on to the tight ends, and we'll go with their teammate, Chris Herndon, New York Jets, tight end, 6% ownership on NFL.com. He returns this week. He was suspended, so there was no numbers for him week 1 through 5. But him and Darnold had a good connection last year. He was getting some good usage, and there aren't very many tight ends to pick up. And for a guy that is free on the waiver wire, I would be very comfortable if you have to play him this week, go ahead and play him. If not, you can just stash him, let him ride the pine, play someone else, and then once you know Darnold is in, Chris Herndon is going to be a great start. And the final tight end to talk about, the final player to talk about is Gerald Everett, the LA Rams tight end, 4.1% ownership on NFL.com. He had a solid week 4 and week 5. Week 4 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5 of 8 for 44 yards and 1 touchdown for 15.4 PPR points. Week 5 against Seattle, 7 of 11 for 136 yards, 20.6 PPR points. Now, I know, Nick, you're maybe thinking that, oh, Nick, you told me that Tyler Higbee was going to get involved and that hurts Gerald Everett. I did say that, but now it seems that Gerald Everett's snaps are going up. All right? And then if you look at Tyler Higbee's, they're going down. So Gerald Everett is getting a lot more usage on the team, which obviously means that he could get more passes thrown his way. I think Gerald Everett is definitely a solid pickup. You could play him this week. So thank you guys all for watching this video. Make sure to check out my sponsor, overlaydfs.com, down below in the description. Make sure you have a great rest of your day. There's going to be more videos tomorrow, and they're just going to be beautiful. Have a great goddamn day. I love you all. Goodbye.